Let me guess, you are here because you need to pass IELTS or PTE in 2025 and you don't know what exam you should take. If that is you, let me tell you that you're in the right place. My name is Emilio, I'm an English teacher with over 5 years experience helping lots of students pass these exams and improve their English. And on this video, I'll tell you a little bit about different scenarios where I would recommend you to take IELTS or to take PTE. Without further ado, let's get started. The first thing is with my IELTS people. If you are someone who is an international student in Australia and you want to study in higher education, or maybe you want to study in TAFE, you want to do any of those courses, perhaps you have to apply for a new visa, or maybe you have to extend a visa, I would recommend you do IELTS because you probably already have some experience in a language school. Lots of my students who want to enter university, they have already studied for a few months in a language school, and what IELTS will do to them is that it will save you time, in the sense that IELTS is a more traditional exam compared to PTE, of course. If you have already studied English in a language school, you're going to get very similar things to what you have already studied if you choose IELTS. If you choose PTE, it's not that you cannot do it, it is more the fact that you need to put in more time to learn about the test structure, the format, to practice, to see if you feel comfortable. But if you already studied in a language school, you probably have a good idea of what to expect when it comes to the exam. Of course, you still need to practice. So that's what I would say. If you already study in a language school and you are aiming for higher education, TAFE, a master's, bachelor's, whatever it may be, I would say go with IELTS. The other reason I would recommend IELTS in this sense is because if you choose IELTS, it is more likely that you're going to be pushing yourself in terms of improving your English skills. And this will of course help you in your course and in your next challenge. Now, if you are someone who wants to get plus 20 points in the PR, I would highly recommend you go for PTE. Why? Well, because if you want to get the same points, the plus 20 points in IELTS, you need to get an overall of 8, however you do 8 in your country. And that is not impossible, but it's quite challenging, especially on the writing section. Now, with PTE, it is a little bit easier to get 8 or the equivalent of 8, the 79 in each band. And if this is you, if you want to get PR and you want to get plus 20 points, maybe PTE might be the test for you. The second reason, it's similar to the first one, and it is if you must get 65 on each band. This is the equivalent of a 7 in IELTS, and for some candidates, getting a 7 in writing can be extremely challenging. Now, that is not to say that it is going to be super easy to get a 65 in each band or in writing in PTE, but compared to IELTS, getting a 7 in writing versus getting a 7 in writing in PTE, this will be much easier. So then I think it is worth the time, it is worth the investment to learn about the exam, to polish your skills and to practice. PTE is not as strict as IELTS when it comes to marking writing. We have experienced changes in the speaking section, but with writing not too much, so if you need 65 in each band, maybe PTE might be the test for you. The other reason I would recommend PTE for you is if you have already studied in a school, you already feel very comfortable with English, you basically have no problem communicating, you can engage with the language when it comes to reading, writing with different skills, and you have very, very good reading skills and grammar, especially the grammar, because if you don't have good grammar, you will struggle. Let me repeat that again. If you don't have good grammar skills, you will struggle in PTE. And the same thing goes for reading. You will basically just bump the test. You will fail only because of the reading section. For those of you who maybe are studying and maybe you are at an intermediate, maybe you are at a pre-intermediate level, or maybe you are thinking, look, I have a lot of time to prepare and practice. In that case, maybe start focusing on your reading skills, because this is one of the reasons why people fail PTE a lot of the time. The other reason I would recommend IELTS is if you need a score from here to here. The reason I would recommend this is because for a lot of PTE candidates, they struggle getting these equivalent scores in their PTE test, which will be something around a 45 and a 60, maybe a bit more, a bit less. So for IELTS, what I've noticed in my experience teaching is that this score seems to be more attainable. Maybe the difficulty might be about the same, perhaps even a bit more difficult, but people struggle to get these scores in PTE more than in IELTS. More often than not, if you polish a few things and you practice and improve certain areas of your test taking skills, of your English skills, it is easier to take IELTS to get this score in IELTS than getting it in PTE. Does that mean that I don't recommend you take PTE if you need a lower score? No, but what I'm trying to tell you is just the fact that in my experience teaching, very quick example, I've met people or people come to me and they take PTE and they need to get as low as 35 and people can't get it. And then they don't take IELTS because they're scared of IELTS, but they have taken PTE like 2 to 3 times. So look, in that case, I would say maybe like only aiming at PTE because this is hard might not be the way to go. And sometimes people might struggle at the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to getting a good score with PTE. There are 2 more reasons where I would recommend that you take one test or the other. And look, this is not legal advice, talk to a migration agent, to a lawyer, but I'm telling you things based on my experience as a teacher in Australia. I am telling you what you guys or what my students tell me. The first one is maybe go for IELTS if you have a specific skills assessment. There are certain skills assessments that only take IELTS. So you have to double check this very carefully because what could be happening to some of you is maybe you're aiming for this, but you also have to take IELTS because you need a skills assessment. And that might be okay. There may be some of you who take one exam and then you take the other one. And then the last reason would be, I am stuck. This is not only for PTE, don't think that because it's in green, I think that it's only for PTE. It could be for both. More often than not, if you feel stuck, it's because we have to improve something. And of course, if you want to improve something, if you want to study with me, I'll leave you all my contact details in the description. But more so than that, more so than telling you like, oh, that I can help you and that I can teach, etc. If you are stuck with one exam, think about the other one. I have had cases from both exams. PTE test takers, people that come to me telling me, I know all the tricks, I already know all the templates, I already did this many courses, I did the test 5, 6, 7 times. We try a little bit, they still cannot get PTE even with practice, or even before meeting me, I would say, hey, why don't we try with IELTS? No, IELTS is too hard, blah, blah, blah. I get it, but the point is, look, what I say to some of them is, look, you already spent more than $2,000 plus the courses and whatever much you paid. You already spent the $3,000 here. Why don't you try IELTS 450 one time? What could go wrong, you know? The same thing could be said with IELTS people. If you're trying with IELTS and you try and you try and you try, why don't you try PTE? Maybe with PTE, you might get the score you need. Maybe your IELTS skills will help you more in PTE than you think. And the same thing could be said for PTE people. A lot of the things that come from both exams could be transferable. So look, this is a bit of a summary as to in which situations I would recommend one or the other. If you do have a question, let me know in the comments. I would love to do a part 2 of this video. If there is anything that you would like to know a bit more, feel free to let me know a comment. I would like to hear from you. And in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm planning to put more videos out there for you. And also don't forget to share this with your friend who's taking IELTS or who's taking PTE in 2025. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you on the next video.